Hola, Geek fans, welcome back. It's time for another Geeks of the Movies review. This time we're joined by Rachel McLeod of the Highlander fame. You know me, I'm Shane Goodrich. Today we're reviewing Hotel Rwanda, directed by Terry George and starring Don Cheadle. Rachel, why don't you give a little bit of a summary about this movie?
Hotel Rwanda is a story about a humble, modest hotel owner who was caught in the middle of the Rwandan Genocide between the Hutu and the Tutsi ethnic groups. Very briefly, in 1994, in the spring of 1994, the majority Hutu were basically reacting to the assassination of the president, and they blamed the minority Tutsi for basically the assassination. And as a response to the assassination, they decided to wipe out all the Tutsis. And Don Cheadle's character, Paul, I can't pronounce his last name, I'm not even going to try, but Paul is basically a modest hotel owner who was caught in the middle of this confrontation between two ethnic groups, and he's basically coming to realize that his hotel is basically the last refuge for about 1,500 refugees.
What I liked about this movie was it showed the perspective of the everyday man. We reviewed The Last King of Scotland, and there's a character played by Idi Amin, played by Forrest Whitaker, who's playing Idi Amin. And right away, his acting, his style, it grabs you. You're like, oh, this guy could potentially be an Oscar winner. When I saw Don Cheadle roll right away, I went, okay, this is a normal person. He acted like what a real person would act like. He's a hotel owner. He's trying to live his life. He's in a country that's very unstable. They show that right from the beginning. Before the assassination, everyone's on edge. There's this strange ethnic divide that's kind of artificial. So I really like Don Cheadle's performance as a not being more than what he was. He didn't try to ham it up. He didn't try to play it off like, oh, I'm this great hero. And slowly throughout the movie, he becomes that great hero.
Right.
Because he doesn't really want to be this savior.
Right. He's very much like an unsuspecting hero. He doesn't suspect anything what's going on. And I think the reason why I like this movie, I think why we picked this movie is because in the previous segment that we did with Last King of Scotland, we're picking on an African villain. Here it's an African hero, but this is not your ordinary hero who knows he's a hero. This is someone who becomes a hero through ordinary means. He's just a hotel owner trying to keep his business going, and that's like throughout this movie. He's still going through the machinery of keeping his hotel alive, despite the fact that he's got warlords, he's got to bribe officials, he's dealing with a corrupt government who's on his butt every day and night trying to supply his hotel with just ordinary goods. He's dealing with not only Hutu refugees, but Tutsi refugees. His wife is Tutsi, he's Hutu, and he's, in one point in fact, the main guy who's supplying him goods is also a warlord and arms dealer.
He's the principal person that is like fanning the flames.
Right.
I mean, he runs his radio station where he talks about the Tutsi and how horrible they are. They're doing all this horrible stuff, underneath the table. The usual the kind of things you would hear from, like, say, Hitler or the Nazi Party about the Jews. These mysterious things that something goes wrong. Oh, they're to blame.
Right. And basically, to frame this, we're only talking about the extremist Hutu are basically scapegoating the Tutsi for all their economic and political problems. Now, what really latched me onto the character of Paul and his wife Tatiana is that despite the fact they're both from different ethnic groups, they still maintain their marriage, they still retain the relationship, and they don't care.
Right.
That's the human side of this whole, and that's what really latched me onto this. Like, the relationship is not in jeopardy between these two. The rest of the world can just take a big shit. They don't care.
As far as I can tell, no one really cared until this guy and other extremists started fanning the flames.
Right.
Because they're in the hotel at one point, and Joaquin Phoenix's character, he's a reporter, and some I'm not sure if he's American or English. I can't remember what he plays. Canadian maybe. Yeah. So anyways, he's there, and he's asking people about the situation. He goes, "Oh well, so are you Hutu? Are you Tutsi?" And at one point, he's talking to these two women, and he can't tell them apart.
Right.
Because it's really kind of an artificial.
And you can't.
Yeah, it's artificial. Yeah, apparently it was created by white colonialists that took over the country and kind of made these distinctions. They kind of put them in place, and they've been that way ever since. They say it on their like identification card. There's a little circle. Which one are you?
Right. And I think what makes Don Cheadle's character even more so of a hero is he's taking both Hutu and Tutsis into his hotel. He doesn't ask for their IDs. He doesn't check them out. Okay, what's your background? What's your bloodline? This, that. No. You need to flee these guys who are going to kill you. my place is the only place you can go. Stay.
And somehow or another, and this amazed me because this is based on a true story, and this actually happened. Most of the events are actually what actually occurred. Is how he managed to keep the everyone else at bay because he's just in a hotel. This isn't a fortified compound. But because of his connections, because he's a Hutu, because he's a businessman, he manages to bribe people. He uses all the hotel's money, all the hotel's goods, and slowly throughout the movie he gets more desperate because he's running out of cash. He's running out of jewelry. He's running out of things to bribe people with.
Now, here's where I got to slip in something. And I've heard that this movie is kind of like the African Schindler's List. And while we might not characterize Paul as being, a Nazi war criminal who takes advantage of, say, a cheap labor force, whatever have you, but he's saving people through kind of underhanded means, through bribery. He's got to deal with the corruption. He's got to do all these kind of skeevy little things. He's got to deal face to face with warlords, generals. That one big confrontation with that one general. Towards the end of this movie, it's like, in all out desperation, I can blackmail you for war crimes. Right. Now this general.
This is completely out of Paul's character to even be doing this.
Right.
But he has to. He's run out of ideas. So now I think he's just making it up.
Yeah.
That, I know people, and they're going to come after you, and they're going to accuse you of war crimes. I think he's making that up to scare the general.
Right. At every point, this general can say, "You know what? Screw you, Cap. You're done.
Right. You're done.
You're done." And I can just bulldoze this whole entire, hotel and then some. But he sticks to his guns. I mean, Paul sticks to his guns. He takes a gamble and he wins.
There's the only gamble he could take at that point.
Right.
At that point, he ran out of stuff to bribe the general with. He ran out of stuff to bribe the militia leaders and the adjutants. He ran out of things. So he's like, okay, what can I do to get this guy to help me?
Right.
Oh, well, you know what? I have friends. And he does have friends in high places. And you know what? They're to come after you for war crimes. But I can save you.
Right.
So all you got to do is help my hotel out.
Now, which leads me to the one frustrating aspect of this movie, is that the UN presence there seems so helpless, so toothless, so fangless, so empty. And I remember when I first saw this movie, how absolutely frustrated it was like, I knew it was a true story, I didn't know the history, I didn't know what was going on. And that's also what frustrated me too, is like, how did this story slip through the cracks, internationally, whatever have you? Like, this is a real event. Rwandan Genocide.
Yes.
100 days, 800,000 to 1 million individuals were killed and slaughtered. How did the international community not know about this? Or
they did know about it.
Or so slowly to
right.
it. And then here's this movie.
They downplayed it.
Right. And then here's this movie portraying the UN involvement in this as the peacekeeping forces. Well, we can't interfere. We can't do this. We can protect the refugees. But ultimately, how?
They can't protect the refugees. At one point, the UN leader there, the colonel on the ground, says...
Played by Nick Nolte, yeah.
Played by Nick Nolte, says, I can give you 4 guys, but they can't use their weapons.
Right.
What the hell? What? They can't use their weapons? Who cares? I don't care.
And this is what frustrates me about the UN. Every member nation of the UN will probably completely agree with genocide is bad, genocide is evil, and we could prosecute these folks for war crimes, whatever have you, but we're just not going to really arm these guys to prosecute them and hold these guys accountable or defend these people in any way, shape, or form. It's like,
I don't know the nature of the country at large, but I wonder, when they knew about this hotel. They knew that this person had these 1,000 people there that he's protecting. Were there other refugee places? Were there other safe havens? Because why would they go, okay, we can't get involved in the country's politics at large, but we can put an armed force there.
Right.
But they didn't. They didn't even do that.
Right.
It's mind-boggling.
They certainly knew about the presidential assassination and that the Hutu majority were blaming the Tutsis for it. They knew that. So they at least knew the environment they were going to walk into. But again, not knowing the background of, were there other safe havens that these folks can go to?
Because it seems so strange to me when they put so few manpower into that hotel. And in real life, they put so little manpower protecting the hotel. That's a lot of people. Yes, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are dying, but you could argue, well, that's outside their control. It's all over the countryside. Here's a safe haven. Here's one group of people you can protect.
And you would think they'd be invested in doing, and they do manage to save refugees, and they do
towards the very end. Eventually,
right?
And it was only because Paul again, I don't know how to say his last name either. Rosa Baggina, I can't say his name.
Yeah.
But either way, it's only because that guy managed to hold on.
Right.
At any point, the hotel could have collapsed. I mean, it gets attacked a few times. times. At the very end, it does get attacked by the Hutu rebels, the Hutu, the radicals. But he manages to bribe the Hutu military, which also I find quite odd. There's the military, but there's also this insurgency, but they're not the same thing. Yeah. They don't have the same goals.
Right. And the other aspect that I thought about just now was, as Paul's character is hosting Hutu and Tutsi, never in the hotel within is there animosity amongst the guests.
No. They show that from the beginning.
I mean, you think about, okay, here's two ethnic groups, again, you have this idea that there's a big divide between the Hutu and the Tutsi.
Big divide.
Obviously, hell's all broken loose outside the hotel, but inside the hotel, it's an absolute haven. And you would think, okay, maybe some Hutu spies can come out and say, hey, guess what? He's got supplies here, he's got this and that, here's how we got our money, here's how we're going to wreck it, here's how we're going to bomb the hotel, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't happen.
There is one character there it does happen.
All right.
One of his workers. Once this whole thing goes down, one of his workers decides, you know what? I'm gonna lock myself in the presidential suite and get some hookers, and then eventually he gets scared and he starts working for Paul again. But then he let secret loose to the Hutu rebels. Right. So there is one people that does betray him, and I think this does parallel Schindler's List in many ways. Yes, Oskar Schindler came into the situation as an entrepreneur. Someone's like, you know what, I can use the cheap Jewish labor.
Right.
And then he realized, wait, this is wrong, and he became this hero.
Right.
Here, Paul. He was never a bad guy in the first place. No. He never really had intentions either way. He was trying to be neutral the whole time. He's like, I don't really care. That's cool. You do your thing. I just got my hotel to run. I got my family. And then eventually, you couldn't overlook all the suffering.
Right. And I think once the tragedies that were going on basically leaped into his lap, basically, I think that's when he had the turn of conscience.
Yes.
It goes from indifference to wait a minute. Oh my God, what's going on? Once it's like thrown into him, and it's like unavoidable. He has to make that choice. Either he's going to be a scumbag and turn these guys away, or he's going to do the human thing and come on in.
Is there anything that bothered you about the movie or a negative about the film?
I still have more glowing things about this. I love the fact that this film was actually filmed in Kigali, Rwanda, and also in Johannesburg, South Africa. So it was filmed on location.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For the most part, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. So it wasn't filmed in like some Hollywood, studio lot or whatever have it. It wasn't filmed in France or some.
It's a very authentic looking movie.
And it goes back to me. They filmed it in Rwanda, in 2004, with that incident still fresh in everybody's minds.
Yes.
In that environment. And sure, they threw some scenes in South Africa, but still, they maintained an African connection to this film. I also like the fact that it wasn't really, Hollywood kind of really gave this excellent treatment.
I think so too.
I mean, it's because it was an independent. Oh no, it was MGM. I think MGM was the film studio.
I'm not sure. It seems like it must have had a decent sized budget, just based on all the extras and what's going on. What would you rate this film?
I actually rated it high. I give it 5 stars out of 5.
I'm also going to give it 5 stars. I think that differentiates this film to me from Last King of Scotland, which I also really love. Last King of Scotland, and Forrest Whitaker's performance in that movie was amazing, and so was the guy that played the Scottish dude. I really liked that. Yeah. But to me, the movie was so centered on those two and so good. Some of the other aspects of the movie were a little shaky.
Right. Here,
I like Don Cheadle's performance was fantastic. Nothing stood out to me quite as much as Forrest Whitaker's performance, but the movie as a whole, which is so consistent, there's no complaints really about the movie.
Right.
It's the director had an artistic vision. He's like, I want to show this, and this is what I'm going to do, and he just brought it to life without fault.
Right. I actually liked the actress. I got her name now. Sophie Okonedo, who played Tatiana, Paul's wife. Don and Sophie basically shared the screen together, and the chemistry between the two was excellent.
Another understated role, too.
The relationship stood the test of time, and I think that speaks to the humanity of that character, Paul, as well as, Sophie. Sophie could have left. She's Tootsie. She's vulnerable as all hell. It's like, oh my God, my people are getting wrecked, killed, massacred. I should get the fuck out of here.
They stayed together as a family, and again, her role was just like Don Cheadle's. It was understated in the sense that she was a normal person.
Right.
She wasn't acting all ridiculous like some of the characters from Last King of Scotland, which they made sense. They did. The Scottish dude and Forrest Whitaker's character, they were both kind of over the top people.
Right.
But it made sense. But here, these were just average, ordinary people in incredible circumstances.
Right. And they do and I think it's only when you get the epilogue or the last notes of the movie when you realize the impact. This man saved 1,268 lives, but still, 1,000 lives are saved because of this one man in his hotel. This ordinary guy.
This dude, some dude. So that's another parallel with Oscar Schindler, who saved like 1,100 Jews or something. So this really is kind of like the African Schindler's List. Is there anything else you wanted to say about this film, Rachel?
Go see it. Go see it. Go see it now. Now.
All right then. So we both rated it 5 stars. We love to hear it, Geeks of the Movies. Stay tuned for more reviews. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. If you want to comment on this movie, what did you think of the Hotel Rwanda? Write in the comment section below. Either way, I'm Shane Gertz. This has been Rachel McLeod, and we've been Geeks of the Movies.